This offseason, the name of the game for the Detroit Lions defense has been to be aggressive and to be dominating. Well, in a quote today by Alim McNeill, it seems quite honest that they're also thinking about it in another term of phrase, being destructive. We're going to talk about it in this episode, folks, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions fans, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. Here in this episode, folks, we are going to be talking about particularly Alim McNeill, but we're also going to be talking about Alim McNeill in terms of a quote, a comment that he just made in regards to the overall, I would say, dynamic and complexity of the overall defense. So this is kind of going to be starting with a singular topic that's going to kind of broaden itself into a much larger topic. So here we go. First and foremost, let's talk about Alim McNeill here for a moment. I'm going to tell you this right now. Alim McNeill, he has by far been one of the best draft picks that Brad Holmes has ever made. And let's think about it. There's been a lot of pretty damn good draft picks that Brad Holmes has made with the Detroit Lions. But Alim McNeill, let's go back, shall we? 2021, we drafted him in the 3rd round. I'm going to tell you this right now. I remember when we drafted him, I looked at the guy and I was like, man, this guy's going to be a solid pick. This guy's going to be a really solid pick for the Detroit Lions. However, though, I can bet my bottom dollar this. I don't think anybody thought Alim McNeill was going to turn into the player that he has turned into over the last 3 years. I don't think there's a single person that could say, yeah, this is going to be the type of player we were going to get now going into 2024. And if you were, I'd probably call you something that most of the time I would refrain from you saying. But point of the matter is this. Alim McNeill, he has gone from being a 3rd-round draft pick now becoming a staple of the Detroit Lions defense, and I would argue one of the best interior defensive linemen in the entirety of the NFL. You have to think about it. This is a guy that has really transformed himself, not only in terms of the perspective and the way that people look at him, but also physically. And I mean that quite literally, and we all know what I'm talking about there. But think about this. Alim McNeill, what makes him so special is the fact that he is physically kind of a unicorn in a sense. And I mean that in the best way possible. Understand what I'm saying here. Alim McNeill as a defensive lineman, he's not the prototypical defensive lineman body cast, if you will. He's not super big, super girthy, so to speak. What he possesses is a body that is, I would say, decently enough size to be able to work in the interior, but what makes him such a valuable commodity is his ability to use the size that he has, which is decent, but combine that with his physical raw power, plus his just athletic ability to be very flexible, nimble, and fast on his feet. Again, I keep going back to this, but one of the best nicknames I ever heard come out of Dan Campbell's mouth in regards to a player was the one they gave Alim McNeill, and that's when he called him Twinkle Toes. And most people would say Twinkle Toes is usually a negative nickname, but for Alim McNeill, that is a very positive nickname, and it actually fits him rather well because this is a guy that is very fast and nimble on his feet, especially for a defensive lineman. And we have seen how over the last couple of years, his ability to have that fast inside move, to have that fast first step, to have that power that's also behind it, has really served him well in being able to further progress his game to where he is right now. And we saw last year how this was really manifesting itself because it's like, dude, before he had that injury where he was put on IR for a year to his knee, he was having a Pro Bowl caliber year. He was having a really damn good year as a defensive interior lineman. I mean, for crying out loud, I think he had, 5.5, almost 6 sacks? Most defensive interior linemen are not known for their pass rushing or sack capabilities now anymore. They're more known as body stuffers, run lane stuffers. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to take up gaps and they're supposed to stop the running lanes in the middle. Well, let's understand something about Alim McNeill. Alim McNeill can not only do that, but like I just demonstrated, he has the ability to be a pass rusher up the middle. Now, why are we talking about Alim McNeill in regards to a quote? Well, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to put the quote up on the screen because I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but I know exactly what it was being meant for. So I'm going to put the exact quote up and I'm going to paraphrase it. Pretty much what Alim McNeill said today, which really has got me all excited, is that he said that when he thinks about the relationship, the kind of, dynamic that him and new defensive tackle DJ Reader has, he says when he takes a look at them two, he sees nothing but destruction. He says, when I close my eyes, all I see, all I can think about is destruction. And you have to think about it. First and foremost, let's just understand the dynamic between those two players. First, like I said, Alim McNeill is a really damn good defensive tackle. I would put him easily within the top 15 in the NFL. But take a look at DJ Reader. DJ Reader, when we picked him up from the Cincinnati Bengals, he was already known as arguably, probably the best, if not within the top 3 in terms of run defenders for interior defensive linemen. So think about it just from that perspective right there. You have a defensive interior lineman that is really, really good at what he does, and it's being able to stop the rusher. The rusher. Pardon me, I had that backwards. I was thinking passer for a minute. But the point of the matter is this. You have a guy that's really good at stopping the run. Then you also have a guy that's really good overall at what he does, whether it's in terms of passing, in terms of applying pressure to the passer. Man, I'm tripping over my tongue. But also being a good run defender. Think about this. Now you have these two guys combined together. Kind of like two guards at a gate, and pretty much it's like, okay, you're trying to get into a club and you got these two bouncers and ain't no way you getting through them. Well, think about this. Last year, the Lions had the number 2 overall rush defense, right? Well, that was without DJ Reader, and DJ Reader is regarded as probably the best interior defensive lineman in stopping the rush. You just paired Alim McNeill with DJ Reader, and vice versa. I can only tell you this right now, but you've already got a massive wall of human flesh that is extremely powerful, extremely dominating in its ability to stop the interior rush and apply an extreme amount of pressure up the middle if need be. That is going to be a literal handful for any offensive line to try and manage. But think about this. Not only have you added DJ Reader into that equation, but now Jack Campbell is a year better than where he was last year, and you still got Alex Anzalone back there. You've got a whole bunch of talent in the middle of that defense, which is going to make running the ball almost a living nightmare for most teams. But the reason why I'm so excited about this phrase, this quote that Alim McNeill said, again, just taking a look at it from the perspective of DJ Reader and Alim McNeill, that's one way to look at it. And that's exciting and tantalizing in and of itself, don't get me wrong. But I started thinking about it, I was like, you know what? That phrase can really be applied to the entirety of the defense, the entire mindset, the entire attitude of the defense. Let's go back, shall we? Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator, he said specifically that he wanted this defense to be much more aggressive, and he wanted to impose a defense that was very much man-to-man in coverage, but also very aggressive in its ability to get after the quarterback. Well, think about it there. You have, across the entirety of the defensive line, an extremely deep unit. I would argue our defensive line unit is probably, if not the deepest, one of the deepest in the entirety of the NFL. Because think about it. You've got Marcus Davenport. You got Matthew Betts. You got James Houston. You got John Kaminsky. You've got Josh Pascal. You got Levi Onwuzurike. You got Alim McNeill. You got DJ Reader. You've got Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, the list just goes on and on. It's just like one domino after another. You've got all that on the defensive line. And think about it. There are multiple guys on that defensive line that can play inside, they can play outside, they can be flexed out strong, they can be put inside weak. There are some that can even drop back in coverage. We heard what Dan Campbell said about Betts, about how he's now starting to get more looks there because he has the ability to do that. We've seen Aiden Hutchinson do it as well. So you have a very, very comprehensive range of ability within that defensive line to do a multitude of things, but there's one thing that all of those guys physically have: the ability to dominate, the ability to be destructive inside or outside towards an offensive line's ability to stop them and to protect their runner or passer, whatever the case might be. Well, think about it. You now have a revamped, complete defensive secondary. You went out, you got Enos Rakestraw, you got Carlton Davis, you got Terry and Arnold. Well, so far we've already heard in practice, and again, I understand it is in pajamas, we're talking about shorts, we're talking about jerseys, we're not talking about anything super physical, But we've already heard reports, and we are seeing how this revamped secondary is starting to give the Lions offense in terms of quarterbacks and wide receivers a little bit of fits. I understand it's still early. I understand we're not to training camp. I understand we're in preseason, blah, 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 blah. I've said it all before. I'll say it again. I get that. But the point of the matter is what we're hearing is very encouraging. It's very good news. It's showing that the moves the Lions made this offseason are starting to bear fruit. Well, if you go back to what I just said about Aaron Glenn saying, hey, this is the way we want our defense to be this year. We've heard all the different phrases, destructive, dominant, aggressive. But there's one word that realistically that comes to mind when I think about this defense, especially in the context of the quote that Alim McNeill just made. It's one simple word, but it has a lot of meaning. Attack, 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 attack. This is a defense that is going to come after you 24/7 as soon as they hit the field. They are not going to stop coming after you. They are going to be unrelenting. Whether it's in terms of coming after you as far as applying pressure to the quarterback, whether it's trying to get tackles for loss behind the line, whether it's, for the runner or for the quarterback, whatever the case might be, they're going to be in your face with the cornerbacks. They're going to be trying to make your wide receivers like, listen, I don't want to come off the line because I'm going to get jammed every single damn time. You are talking about a defense that is trying to impose its will by being physically dominating and aggressive. And what Alim McNeill is talking about, just, hey, I see pure destruction with me and DJ Reader. You can apply that whole thought process, that whole concept, that whole mindset, whole attitude to exactly what this entire defense is trying to do. They're like, listen, we're tired of getting pushed around. We're tired of hearing all the crap about how our defense is not the way it should be. We're tired of that crap. We are actually going to step on your throat. We are going to physically break your neck. We are going to do whatever it takes to impose our will and make you cry uncle before it even gets to 0-0-0 on the game clock. That's why when I heard that quote by Alim McNeill, I got super excited. I'm like, oh baby. Armageddon is coming in the form of Honolulu blue and silver, and it is going to be a fun thing to watch, especially when we are shutting down opposing offenses, because I don't think everybody's quite ready for the type of defense that we're about to see this year. And I hope I'm right. I hope that Aaron Glenn redeems himself. I hope that Aaron Glenn can make me eat my crow on this. And I think that we might just see it. I might be tooting the horn a little early here, but it's like, listen, I take a look at the depth of this defensive line. I take a look at the fact we had the number 2 rushing defense last year. I hear the reports that are already coming out about this defensive secondary. I'm highly, highly encouraged. I'm highly motivated. But having said that, I'm going to end the episode right here and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these 3 things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past, forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and not had a chance to do so, again, highly encourage y'all to subscribe. But I also encourage y'all even more so, please, 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 make sure you hit that bell notification icon as well, so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. Again, I have a lot of subscribers, and I know that a lot of them are not watching the show. Please make sure you turn on that notification icon so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. I'm trying to increase the viewership any possible way that I can, and I feel that some people have not turned that on. It might help out. So please, as a favor for me, make sure you turn it on. Try and watch as much as you can. I also encourage y'all, please, to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can. I don't give a damn where you share it. The more you share it, the greater the channel reaches, the greater the channel spreads, and it helps me out. And with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed the content. I hope y'all have had something about the day that makes you happy, makes you smile. I hope it's been a great day for you. God bless, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.